Hello, and welcome to my presentation on a campaign I've designed for Men's Wearhouse. My name is Nicholas Atkinson, and I prepared this project for ADPR 3110, Brand Storytelling, at Grady College. First, I'd like to give a brief company overview. Men's Wearhouse was founded in 1973 by George Zimmer. They grew very rapidly as a company, thanks in part to pioneering clothing store television commercials, which used George Zimmer as a spokesperson. By 1990, the company had achieved growth at almost 50 stores per year, close to a rate of one store per week. It was in this era, in 1997, where we first see George Zimmer's memorable slogan, "You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it." In 2000, they began renting tuxedos, and this business ballooned until 2006, when they became the largest suit rental business in the United States. In 2013, due to visionary differences, George Zimmer was dismissed from the company, though this loss was offset by the acquisition of Joseph A. Bank, their largest competitor. There are a few key words that can summarize the core values of Men's Wearhouse, as shown here. As a company, they maintain a pretty similar prestige and message to other competitors in the same market. They focus on dignity, refinement, and making a statement to prove you're a polished gentleman. Other words or concepts that come to mind regarding their business are weddings, because they sell suits and rent tuxedos, personalization and customization, and the fact that they do tailor work as well, and the company prides themselves on their customer service. Now on to brass tacks. Men's Wearhouse has an image problem that can be summarized by a lack of communication over what they offer. Simply put, consumers only consider Men's Wearhouse when making purchases for formal clothing or renting tuxedos and the like. The goal of this campaign is to change that. Our objective is to show that they should consider Men's Wearhouse as a source for all men's clothing, which leads us into the route that will get us to that objective. Men's clothing for every day. As I said a moment ago, this campaign wants consumers to recognize that Men's Wearhouse sells casual clothing too. The best way to approach this, in my opinion, is with a little tongue-in-cheek humor. Keep it serious. Don't compromise the core values of being a gentleman, but have some harmless fun while you're at it. Now, let's take a look at who we're targeting with this campaign. 25-year-old man named John West. John is the American everyman, a recent college graduate engaged to his beautiful fiancée, Kate, who is also his high school sweetheart. He works as a financial advisor at a stock brokerage firm and makes a sizable paycheck for his efforts. Because customer service and comfort are some things he values, he tries to dress nicely and keep himself well-groomed, but opts to dress more casually to avoid seeming out of reach or out of touch to his customers. He's practical, driving the same 2013 Chevy Impala he's driven since starting college. He's driven to succeed, somewhat out of obligation to his parents who paid his way through school. He recently proposed to Kate, and thus has been in the market for more formal clothing than he's normally used to. His dream job would be to work for a large corporation in their marketing department, which was his second major. His parents had convinced him, though, that economics would be safer for job placement. To conclude, despite his relatively cut-and-dry personality, John prides himself on his work ethic and his perception of his own uniqueness. He isn't afraid to take a risk and be perceived as wrong, but he still opts for the safer bet when given a choice between them. Personal style and fashion are important to him, but not as important as fitting the mold of his own idealism. And here we see some concepts I've developed for a few static solutions for this campaign. I took the liberty of making them square just for simplicity's sake, but obviously with adjustments on the dimensions, these could be used anywhere that a static ad might appear, such as social media, posters, bus or train stops, etc. I prefer to leave that open-ended, at least for now. They're simple, with dark coloration that sets a formal tone, while the clothes depicted are less formal. This, coupled with the message, makes the concept stick out to a viewer, who might sense the unusual casual tone as unique, and might seek out our campaign on their own accord. On the left, we have something I prepared based on my idea/concept for our wildcard component, which was cut due to timing constraints. But the static image can stand on its own too, which makes it work well. The original concept this related back to was an idea for a casual clothing fashion show that would be streamed online with a sweepstakes for a selected handful of men to walk the runway themselves, based on random selection, of course, and not by looks, coupled with celebrity appearances and performances, all of whom would be dressed in casual clothes you can buy from Men's Wearhouse. The footage could be used for a dynamic television campaign as well at a later date, or if there isn't a budget for the fashion show itself, this could be converted into the premise for a television commercial campaign. Then we have the one on the right, which was my original concept for a static ad. This static image would also be tied to a television spot, featuring a husband and wife preparing for a wedding. When she drops the idiom, "Don't outdress the groom," the husband's mind flashes forward to the wedding. He visualizes the bride, seeing him dressed nicer than the groom himself, and then the bride falls for him, abandoning her fiancé at the altar to carry our character out the door to the church. There's an irate crowd, and our protagonist has a terrified look on his face. He snaps back to the present and tells his wife, "I think I'm going to need some new clothes." Now, obviously, these static visuals work as standalone ads, since they're relatively simple and aesthetically pleasing, but I just wanted to address how they might have, under different circumstances, been used to tie together different parts of this campaign. But I digress. That concludes my presentation on a conceptual Men's Wearhouse campaign. I appreciate your time and attention.